If you want to copy the exact system the 1% use to automate their money, you have to stop doing what 99% of hardworking Americans do on payday. If you could look at the private banking data of the wealthiest 1% of Americans, you would notice something highly unsettling. It is not that they have more money than you. It is that their cash flow moves in the exact opposite direction of yours. Most hardworking people believe that building wealth is a slow, painful process of deprivation. They think you have to give up your lifestyle, cut back on everything you love, and save whatever is left over. But this traditional approach is a mathematical trap designed to keep you running in place forever. The wealthy do not build empires by saving pennies. They do it by operating a psychological cash machine that makes financial growth entirely automatic while keeping their daily life completely stable. To manage your money like the top 1%, you must abandon the standard advice given to the masses. You need a completely original blueprint that restructures your banking layout into 4 automated wealth-building engines: the Velocity Engine, the True Baseline Vault, the Freedom Fund, and the Shock Absorber. By the time this video ends, you will have a plug-and-play blueprint to automate your cash flow this week, forcing your net worth to grow without you ever thinking about it. But fair warning, this entire machine completely breaks down if you are making one invisible mistake with your primary checking account right now, a mistake that is silently draining your interest and exposing your raw capital to inflation. We are going to expose exactly what that is in less than 60 seconds. Before we look at the first automated pillar, do me a quick favor. If you are ready to stop letting lifestyle inflation steal your hard work and finally build real, long-term leverage, hit that subscribe button right now. We drop deep dive, practical money strategies every single week, and being subscribed means you always get the tactical edge first. Now, with your subscription locked in, let's immediately pay off that warning I gave you. What is that single, invisible mistake that completely destroys your banking layout before you even start? It is keeping your primary emergency cash sitting inside the exact same checking account you use to pay your daily bills. When you do this, your brain looks at a single large digital balance and registers a fake sense of security. It tricks you into making impulsive upgrades because the money looks available. Even worse, standard checking accounts pay 0 interest, meaning the purchasing power of your money is actively shrinking every day it sits there. To fix this, the 1% isolate their money using a distinct sequence. And it all begins with the first pillar, the Velocity Engine. This engine handles exactly 15% of your gross income, and it is the single most important transfer that happens on payday. Most people use a backwards financial sequence. They receive their salary, pay their landlord or mortgage company, clear their utilities, buy groceries, spend money on entertainment, and then promise to invest whatever cash is left over at the end of the month. But in our modern economy, nothing is ever left over. Corporations have spent billions of dollars optimizing systems to drain your account on autopilot through smooth digital checkouts and hidden subscription models. The top 1% bypass human temptation entirely. They pay themselves first. The exact morning their paycheck drops, 15% of that cash is swept out of their main checking account into long-term compounding assets before they ever have the chance to see it look spendable. To understand why the speed of this engine matters so much, look at a realistic scenario with 2 professionals in America today, Sarah and Michael. Sarah lives in Chicago and decides to start routing just $300 a month into a standard market index fund when she turns 25. Michael chooses to enjoy his 20s, upgrades his apartment, travels, and waits until he is 35 to start. Because Michael realizes he is behind, he attempts to catch up by investing double the amount, $600 a month. By the time they both reach age 65, Michael has actually contributed significantly more of his own out-of-pocket cash than Sarah did. But assuming a standard historical market return of 10%, Michael's account balances out at around $900,000. Sarah, on the other hand, finishes with over $1.2 million. Even though Sarah put in half the monthly cash, she finished with $300,000 more, purely because she gave her money a 10-year head start. Time is a wealth lever that you cannot replace with a high salary later in life. To make your Velocity Engine work, you must route that 15% into 2 specific tax shields. First, look for free money by maxing out your company's 401k match. If your employer matches your contributions up to a certain percentage, that is a contractually guaranteed 100% return on your investment before the market even moves. Second, utilize a Roth account structure. Moving your capital into a Roth means you use money that has already been taxed today, but every single dollar of growth compounds completely free of government intervention, and you withdraw it entirely tax-free at retirement. Inside these accounts, stop trying to pick winning individual stocks or guess volatile trends. Put the money into broad market index funds that track the S&P 500 or the total stock market, which historically return about 10% a year over long horizons. Program the transfer for 6 o'clock on payday morning and let the system run. But maximizing your growth engine is entirely useless if you leave your daily living costs unmanaged. Here is where most people get crushed, and that brings us to our second pillar, the true baseline vault, capped at exactly 50%. This vault handles the absolute maximum amount of your income that can go toward keeping your physical life running. It covers your true survival costs: housing, basic utilities, transportation, health insurance, minimum debt payments, and raw groceries. Notice what is completely absent from that list: food delivery apps, premium gym memberships, weekend clothing shopping, and streaming services. Those are comfort upgrades, not survival needs. Most professionals blur this line constantly. They tell themselves that eating out at a local restaurant is an essential because they need food to live. This is how 50% accidentally creeps up to 70 or 80%, leaving people making six figures living month to month in nice apartments with beautiful furniture but zero net worth. To break this cycle, pull your last 90 days of bank statements and run a brutal audit. Focus heavily on the two biggest wealth killers in American culture: housing and vehicles. Your housing costs should never consume more than 30% of your take-home pay. If you live in an expensive city, you may need a smaller space or a temporary roommate to protect your financial margin. Vehicles are an even deadlier trap. The average new car payment in America exceeds $770 a month. When you add insurance, gas, and maintenance, millions of people are burning close to $1,000 a month on a depreciating piece of metal just to project status at a red light. The wealthiest people often drive reliable, paid-off vehicles because they know that trading your future compounding power for a luxury car lease is an economic disaster. Keep your survival costs at or below 50% to fund the rest of your machine. But this is where traditional finance advice makes a critical psychological mistake. They tell you to cut out every single ounce of pleasure, stop hanging out with your friends, and live like a monk. That approach is a guaranteed failure. It is exactly like an extreme crash diet. If you starve yourself of all enjoyment, your willpower will eventually break, and you will go on a massive, destructive spending spree that tears down your whole system. The top 1% do not live in misery. Instead, they use our third pillar, the Freedom Fund, locked in at exactly 20% of your income. This 20% is your explicit, guilt-free lifestyle money. It is a built-in component of the system designed to be spent on vacations, high-end dinners, morning coffees, concerts, and hobbies. The secret to keeping this fund under control is total visual separation. Do not keep your fund money in your primary checking account where it gets mixed up with your rent or mortgage funds. Open a completely separate checking account with its own debit card at a different bank just for your lifestyle spending. Every payday, 20% drops into this account automatically. This is your play budget for the month. When that card gets declined at a clothing store or a restaurant, you know your fund budget is finished, and you comfortably wait for the next cycle. You can enjoy your spending with absolute zero anxiety because you have visual proof that your future self and your survival bills are already taken care of in their own vaults. But this lifestyle spending only works if your entire framework has a protective shield to keep it from collapsing when real life gets messy. This brings us to our final pillar, the shock absorber, which handles the remaining 15%. This 15% is the cushion that protects everything else you have built. Without this buffer, your financial architecture is incredibly fragile. One bad afternoon, a job loss, an unexpected medical bill, or a major car repair will force you to rack up high-interest credit card debt or liquidate your stock investments at a terrible time, destroying years of progress in a single weekend. You must route this 15% into a dedicated account until you have saved a buffer equal to 5 months of your core baseline survival costs. Not 5 months of your total income, just 5 months of that 50% bucket we established earlier. If your bare minimum survival expenses are $3,000 a month, your stability goal is $15,000. This capital does not belong in the stock market or crypto because the market could crash at the exact moment you face an emergency. It must live in a high-yield savings account. Traditional big-name banks pay almost nothing, but online banks easily pay 4 to 5% interest. This keeps your safety net completely safe from market fluctuations, fully liquid within 24 hours, and growing fast enough to fight off inflation. When you step back and look at the entire framework, you realize that managing your money like the top 1% isn't a test of your daily willpower. It is simply a matter of automated architecture. When your paycheck lands, your banking system immediately breaks it apart. 15% goes to your investments, 15% goes to your shock absorber, 20% goes to your play account, and the remaining 50% stays put to cover your core bills. If this automated breakdown gave you a practical system that you can actually implement on your phone this week, hit that share button and send this video to one person who is working hard but running in place. And make sure to hit that subscribe button before you leave. Stop renting a lifestyle from major corporations. Build your automatic system this week, and I will see you in the next strategy session.